now, Talk Real Estate with Sharon McNamara, sponsored by Boston Connect Real Estate Services.
Hi, I'm your host, Sharon McNamara, and you are listening to Talk Real Estate Roundtable. Let me share a little bit about my background before we get started. I am the broker-owner of Boston Connect Real Estate, a boutique firm that is home to over 30 real estate sales and marketing agents who service home buyers and home sellers throughout Boston, the South Shore, the South Coast, and Cape Cod. Our firm takes pride in assisting our clients in the next chapter of their lives by taking a holistic approach to their real estate endeavors. We believe that every move should be a moving experience. Every week, my co-host Melissa Wallace and I will provide you with my team's unique marketing approach to selling homes and share with you our expertise in navigating the home buying process. We value the experience of our agents at Boston Connect Real Estate so much that not only will you hear my perspective on real estate topics, occasionally you will hear the expert thoughts and opinions of our experienced agents at Boston Connect Real Estate. Be a part of our roundtable. If you have any questions during the show, please call 781-837-4900. We love to talk real estate. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and wherever you like to listen to podcasts at Talk Real Estate Roundtable. If you would like a one-on-one consultation with me and my team to discuss your real estate needs, you can connect with me at bostonconnect.com or 781-826-8000. Now, sit back, relax, take good notes, and let's talk real estate.
And hello to all my South Shore neighbors. You are listening to Talk Real Estate Roundtable. I am your host, Melissa Wallace, and I am joined by my lovely co-host tonight, Sue Bollinger.
Hello, Melissa.
Hello. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. So, Sue, you are a full-time realtor here at Boston Connect Real Estate, and have you been here since the beginning, the very beginning?
1 year in.
1 year in. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So
almost the beginning.
Almost the beginning. Oh, well, you might as well, because I've been here for 7 years, so I just feel like anybody was here before me has been here since the beginning of time.
It does feel, well, yeah. There's a few of us that
there are. I just had Ginny on, was it last week? Yeah, Ginny Wandell, full-time realtor here at Boston Connect Real Estate as well. She joined me last week, but now I got you.
Yay!
Yeah, I've sort of been promoting the show as like Tuesdays we're taking a different approach now. Like I'm going to have a lot of our agents on the show with me on Tuesdays and just sort of give another perspective, another, input on what's going on with real estate, really. But Sharon and I are still doing the show on Saturdays. But we are live on Facebook, so if you if you follow Boston Connect Real Estate, we are live. Sharon's here too. She's in the other room. She's waving goodbye, but she's leaving it up to us to run the ship tonight. But
all right.
You have done the show before.
I have.
But I'm going to give you an opportunity to reintroduce yourself to all of our listeners. Okay? Go ahead.
Do that right now?
I do.
Sue Bollinger, a full-time realtor here at Boston Connect. I've been selling real estate for about 20 years.
Yeah.
So I do a good mix of both buyer and seller agency, and I do a lot of rentals as well.
Yeah.
But mostly buyer and seller agency. And so what else? You
live in Pembroke?
I live in Pembroke, and I raised my family in Pembroke.
Yeah.
I have 3 kids that have gone off to college, and then one's still in high school.
One's still in I know, little Taya.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she works with me too, so.
Yes, she does.
Yeah, I rope her in, and then she's going to be working on our holiday festival here at Boston Connect Real Estate when we do the Pictures with Santa.
Yes.
She worked it last year, and she loved it. She read to the kids downstairs in the Candyland basement, but
Yes.
I think it was last week, she was like, oh, I'm really hoping I can work. I go, yes, you can definitely work.
I'm not
we
sure
need
she
you.
has much of a choice.
Yeah, she doesn't. Yeah, well, I didn't think, I let her think that she had a choice.
Right.
Or I let her think that, like, we really want you, which we do.
Yes.
But I'm like, I know your mother's going to make you do it anyway, so. And we'll talk about that towards the end of the show because I want to give as much time as possible to our topic tonight.
Yes.
And it's funny that, so I think Julia, who is our administrative coordinator here at Boston Connect Real Estate, was the one who sort of asked you what you wanted to talk about.
Yes.
So you did sign up for doing the show with me a couple months ago. And when I talked to Julia, I was like, oh, just reach out to Sue, see what she wants to talk about. And when you wanted to talk about buyers, I was like, of course Sue wants to talk about buyers, because when I think of you as like a really strong buyer's agent. You're a really strong listing agent.
Yes.
I'll give you that.
Yes.
But for some reason, when I think of you, I'm like, Sue is just like a really great buyer's agent. Like you're love working with buyers.
It's my favorite thing.
So why don't you tell everybody what we're going to be talking about tonight? I'm going to change your microphone a little bit.
Okay, so tonight we're talking about tips and tricks for helping buyers find a home in a low inventory market, because it is a really crazy low inventory market right now. It's like all the surrounding towns have no inventory. And I have these buyers looking for properties.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult when there's only a couple properties to choose from.
Yeah, I did the call-in this morning with Rob, and I was telling him, and I was like, selfishly, I just want to have like a private conversation with you about a buyer finding a house in this low inventory market, because that's me.
Yeah.
But I said to him, I go, but I host a radio show. I should be talking about these things. And really, it was more of like, I am a very private person. So in the beginning, for the first couple months, even when I had my accepted offer last year, I didn't tell anybody. Like I didn't even tell my mom. Like I didn't tell anybody, because
almost
like
jinxing it.
I didn't want to jinx it. And then I was like, what am I doing? Like I have the perfect platform, and that is the radio show, to tell everybody my journey, to tell everybody what is really going on. Like I have firsthand knowledge of what's going on.
Yeah.
I need to just get out of my own way and just tell everybody my journey, my story, or whatever. So, so I had a therapy session this morning on WATD with Rob, and he just let me have it. But yeah, no, like I said, when I think of you, I do think of you as like a really strong buyer's agent, because I know how much you love to work with buyers.
I do. It's my favorite thing. It really is truly my favorite thing to do. I love working with first-time buyers.
Yeah.
Because it's really, the process of buying a home is not easy. There's so much involved, and people think that, you just go to a house, you find something you like, and you're in.
Yeah.
But there's so much more involved. There's so many steps.
So much more involved. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. And before we jump right into it, like when you are showing homes, probably more so with like first-time home buyers, is it usually just the buyers that you show, or like the whole like extended family, anybody who has any sort of...
I've done both.
Yeah. Who's there? Who's at your showing?
So it's really funny. So when I've had situations where I brought the buyers to a house, and this was like a few years, like 3 years ago. I'm not going to mention names.
Yeah, don't. We like to.
But it was a family member. It was a family member.
Yeah.
But we went to this one. They had an accepted offer on this house, and they had a home inspection. And the home inspection I thought was going fine.
Yeah.
But the parents came and tore the house apart. The dad became a home inspector himself.
Yeah. So did you think that the home inspection was going fine because you've been at home inspections where like they have not gone fine?
Yes.
And
because the issue becomes like, okay, like I had a home inspector once, point out the previous leak under the kitchen sink. There had one time been a leak under the kitchen sink, and there was all this staining, right? But it had been fixed. Yeah. So it's all in how you present it. So the home inspector can go, oh my gosh, look at this big stain. Clearly they've had some plumbing issues. Yeah. Or the home inspector can say, oh, look, there was once a leak and it's been fixed. So that's what you want to see, is somebody maintaining their home.
So I've gone to a couple of houses now with Mark McNamara, who is married to Sharon McNamara, and he owns McNamara Plumbing. And so like I bring him along sometimes. And like one of the houses that I looked at in Pembroke had staining on the ceiling, but like it had a new roof. So like you knew that like there was an issue, but the issue had been resolved. So like they just needed to paint. So he was just like, oh, looks like there was a leak, but it's got a new roof. So they fixed the problem. They just didn't paint. So like, and I was like, okay.
Yeah. And so that's the thing. If you're a first time buyer, you don't know, you see the leak and you're like, oh, like you don't even care if it has a new roof. You just see the stains and you're like, what do I do? You know, is that a big deal? Because people don't know. Like, is it a pipe leaking? And it's like, well, no, because there's no pipes up there. That's the attic. You know
it's funny because I get to be like, if he says, oh, it's not a big deal of like something else, I'm like, oh, great, then you can fix it.
Right.
And I walk, and then I just walk to the next room. And he's like, yeah, I know that you and Mary are going to be the death of me. And today is Mary Horton's birthday.
Happy birthday, Mary Horton.
Mary Horton.
I love saying Mary Horton.
I know. I like trip up sometimes and say Mary Baker, but no, Mary Horton. It's Mary Horton's birthday, so happy birthday, Mary. Yeah, so he's like, Mary, you and Mary are like my third and fourth daughters, and you're gonna be the death of me, gonna give me a heart attack.
Yes.
But yeah, so I feel like it can almost look like the end of the world.
Yes.
But like, it's only because you don't know.
Absolutely. But if you've been, if you have 15 or 20 years worth of home inspections behind you, you've seen a lot. Yeah. Not that I'm a home inspector, and I would never claim to be a home inspector.
I would never claim to be a home inspector either. I manage a real estate company.
Exactly. Yeah. But I just recognize, like, when the family members are getting like really nervous about stuff, that can easily be resolved. Yeah.
But I feel like you have a way of like just keeping it cool, calm, and collective. Like, and Ginny too. Like, I could just imagine Ginny just being like, "Okay, we can fix this. Yeah, we can do this." Okay, diving into it, I want to start off with understanding what a low inventory market means. So what does that mean? Okay, there's low inventory. What does it mean?
So there's very little on the market. And the issue is really that historically we have low inventory. So this is like, I think back in 2005, 2006, I'm looking at an infographic from back in, the KCM, KMC. I can't think, blog. I can't think of it. But anyways, they back in 2006, we had like an overabundance of, and it shows like this historical average from 1970 to 2008 of this historical average of properties on the market, in particular counties, in abundance. And then for 14 straight years, we've had this low inventory.
I can see all that black.
Yeah, exactly.
The black ink right there of like.
I should put this on my Facebook page so people can find it.
Yeah.
But it's just, low inventory market, like, for example, we have, so some contributing factors of low inventory. We have, let's see, rates. Economic conditions.
Yeah.
So the rates.
Yeah.
The rates are ridiculously high compared to the last 5 years.
Yeah.
They're not ridiculously high historically, because when I bought my first house, it was around this rate. Yeah, believe it or not. So this is what I
hear people all the time. Well, when I bought my house, it was 18%.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Like you also bought your house for like $50,000.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's a good point. So I did pay like $125 for my first house.
Yeah, exactly. So,
but that was I'm letting my age show now. But in any case, today it's around 7.75%, or 7% for a 15-year fixed. But a couple years ago you could get 3%. So it's a really difficult shift for people. And so, and then a lot of people who are in their current homes don't want to make the move because they have a 3% interest rate.
Yeah. I mean, why would you?
Yeah. And then they, but there's always people who need to buy and always people who need to sell. So even with a low interest rate. So, we even have assumable mortgages now. So, if you're a seller who wants to put their house in the market right now, and you have an assumable mortgage, you should call and find out if you have an assumable mortgage, especially if you're 3% or 2.5%. Yeah. You could offer that up because there are a lot of cash buyers out there that might enjoy getting, that might entice somebody to pay a little extra if they know they can assume that mortgage. Yeah. So, I think, you should definitely make the call and ask the question. Yeah, absolutely. But, right now in, Pembroke, we have 7 single-family homes for sale on the market and 1 condo. Yeah. So, that's insane. So ridiculously low. Yeah. Hanson's 8, Halifax is 9, Hanover is 9. But Marshfield, When
That's
is it
26.
26.
Why? Is that new construction? Or
It must be. I don't know. It's an anomaly for this market because no other surrounding town has that many listings. I don't even think Plymouth does.
Yeah.
But so 26 single family homes, and then the condo inventory is very low as well. So
yeah. Do you think that the condo inventory is low because of condo fees?
I think it's, condo fees.
I'm only asking because I'm personally not looking at a condo.
Yeah.
Because of the interest rate being where it is, the sort of expectation for, wanting to get over asking.
Yeah.
And, especially for myself doing this on my own, and plus the additional condo fees.
Yeah.
So some of the condos that I had looked at, they have assessments because they're older.
Right.
And so the people living in there right now, couldn't afford to just pay off the entire thing. So, they took on a special assessment.
Yeah. And so that's another thing to consider too. That's a whole other topic, but honestly, if there's special assessments, you have to wonder how it's managed, how well it's managed.
Yeah.
Are they putting money aside in reserves to pay for things like, windows and roofs?
Windows, roofs, siding.
You should have a nice cushion. So people need to look at that. So that's just another little tip. But
we'll do another show on condos.
Show.
How about that?
Yes.
Next time you come on, we'll do condos.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else with the low inventory? What it means before we move on to the next section?
Well, just that it's what it's doing is driving the prices up still. Even though, and honestly, people are reluctant to buy. However, it's still driving the price up because it's a supply and demand issue still. So you're still having people bid when they first come on the market over asking.
So what are your suggestions for buyers in this market right now that they need to get creative in their approach to buying?
Yeah, they absolutely need to get creative. And that brings me to the next point where you really need to have a financial strategy ready. So even first-time buyers can have a financial strategy ready, but call and get pre-approved because you have to have your budget ready. You need to know what the current interest rate is and calculate your payment based on that. So, for example, there's different. You might want to consider a renovation loan. Those are really good tools. I'm going to talk about that in a minute as well, but you really need to know what your options are. If you're a first-time buyer and you want to buy something, there's one thing that you can do is something called house hacking, which for a first-time buyer, you're looking at a larger payment than expected because you still have to pay more. The rates are 7.75%, but if you buy a multifamily, and you're pre-approved to go, you can have people help pay your mortgage for you and pay it down more quickly.
Yeah. Trust me, I am also looking at multifamilies. Yeah. Few and far between. Yeah. I have people oh no, I have eyes on things off market, trying to strategize. Yeah. Like I said, I'm very fortunate to be in the position that I am in because I have so many people in my corner looking for me. But it's tough.
Yes, it's tough. It's really difficult right now. Yeah. So if you can find a situation, sometimes you're pre-approved for more when you're buying a multifamily. Yeah. So it gives you a little bit more buying power.
I was surprised when I met with Jasmine and she was like, "Oh, multifamily." And I'm like, "What?" Yeah. Someone would give me that much money.
Yeah. You just have to,
I was like, "Oh, okay."
Absolutely. But if you buy a multifamily as a first-time buyer, it's definitely worth it, especially if you're single, you don't have any kids yet.
Yeah, I know. Well, that was the reason why I was going down that avenue is because, I am single. I don't have children. I don't need to live in a single-family home. I can live in an apartment and rent out another one or rent out two or whatever. Yeah. So, that for my lifestyle, that would be sort of ideal for me.
You could buy a house with an in-law apartment and you could rent out the house and live in the in-law. Yeah. That's house hacking. Yeah. And then you get a nice payment. Somebody else is paying your mortgage down for you. Yeah. For a few years.
Yeah. Right? I don't know if I don't know if I could live in the in-law and just stare at my house and be like, that's my house. You're you're living in my house.
Well, so real estate is also an investment, right?
Yeah.
So it's an investment opportunity. and you're making your wealth you're building your wealth for yourself. So then they'll eventually move out, right? And then you move into your house and rent out your in-law whenever you're ready. But it's a good way to get your feet wet in the market until you can refinance to a lower rate.
Yeah. I have a feeling that if I did that, somebody here would be like, I have a client who needs a short-term rental. And I'd be like, all right, they can rent out my house.
Yeah.
I'm still in the in-law. You can rent out my house for short-term rentals. Oh gosh, now I might have to start looking for one of those then.
It might be worth it. Buy a multifamily in Plymouth, live in one of them, do short-term rental.
And the other.
Because, you did just have that whole podcast, or the whole radio show on investment properties, right?
Yeah, it did.
It's a really good opportunity.
I know. I could do that. House hacking. Is that what you're calling it?
Yes.
Okay.
House hacking. I have more information on my website. If anybody, you can find me on the Boston Connect website. Just click down, find my name, Susan Bollinger, and it'll take you to my website. But so anyways, that's a really good, effective strategy. And another thing that you can do, if you are concerned about the payment, because the payment is 7.75%, you can do what's called a 2-1 buy down program. And so basically what you're doing is buying down the payment over the next couple of years. So let's say the rate's 7.75%, but maybe your loan officer thinks that it might drop down to 7% if you wait 6 months, but you don't want to wait. You want to buy the house now. You can pay up front to have the rate be where you want it to be for the next year. Yeah. And then refinance whenever that rate drops. Yeah. So it's a really nice option. Yeah, I did put in an offer. One of the first houses, I think it was the first house I put an offer in on. I did the 2-1 buy down strategy. Yeah, and didn't get accepted. I got beat by cash, but that's another story. Cash. Yeah. Obviously, cash is always the best option. But when you're
no, it's not. Don't say that, Susan.
For a seller's perspective, but here's the thing: there are other ways around it. There's other strategies that you can use. Well, first of all, this is the most important strategy: hire a buyer's agent. Because if you don't have a buyer's agent who knows all of these tips and tricks, I can just tell you all this stuff, but you're not going to know how to implement it. Yeah. So you need to have a strong buyer's agent available to talk through all of these options with you. So that's the first one. I agree. Yeah. But the 2-1 buy down program isn't the only. There's actually different levels. You can do like a 3-1 buy down. You can do 3-2. There's a couple of different strategies to do there. But in terms of negotiation, some of the things that I've found that have worked well for me this year with buyers, I had one where the seller needed to buy something before she could, it was subject to the sale of her house, right? Subject to her finding suitable housing, I should say. And so my buyers were willing to wait. And so what we did is we created a use and occupancy. I can't even talk tonight. A use and occupancy agreement. Yeah. And we wrote it right into the offer. You can stay for 30 days for free. And then beyond that, you do 30 days at $100 a day. And we did it in stages, and we gave them options. So they weren't going to be immediately kicked out, but it gave them an option to stay for as long as they needed to beyond the closing date. Yeah, that's perfect. If you're willing to do something like that, sometimes that means a lot more. Yeah. But the buyer needs to have the time as well. Absolutely. They have to be in a position where they're probably not selling something as well. Yeah. So maybe they're renting somewhere, they're staying with family or friends or whatever, that they don't need to immediately be out. Right. This one was a little bit more convoluted. It was subject to suitable housing. So we gave them till a specific date to find suitable housing. Yeah. And then beyond the suitable housing, they had a bunch of animals that they needed to move. Oh. The house was beautiful. Yeah. But the sellers needed flexibility, as much flexibility as possible. Yeah. So if you can find a situation where the seller is looking for flexibility, and there's a lot of that out there, a first-time buyer can really usually do that. Yeah. Hone in on that. So it worked out really well, and now they're actually in the house because it gave lots of flexibility for the seller.
Yeah. I mean, as a buyer, I'm representing myself when I put in my offers, but like, I'm always asking, what are the sellers looking for? What's most important to the sellers? Like, because yes, I'm sure they want to get as much money as possible, but like, it's also the terms. So it's somebody who's going to give them a lot of time. Yeah. Because I've put in offers on vacant homes where like, I'm like, oh, they probably want to get rid of this pretty fast. And no, they want time. Like, so you don't assume that they want, like,
maybe it's an estate sale.
Yeah. This last time, they were going through some personal things with this last one that I put in. So like, I was ready to do a 2-week close, but they needed longer time to deal with other things. So I'm like, okay, I'll do, a 30-day close, and I could close whenever you want. Obviously there needs to be some sort of an end cap with, it being towards the end of the year. And I'm just like, okay, can I get into it now? I always ask, what are the sellers looking for? Because it's not always the money. It's I've seen it because I work with Sharon and I see all of her offers that come in, and I do the spreadsheets for her, and we sort of work through all these offers together, and it's not always the one that has the most money. It's like, okay, they need time. This one's waiving a home inspection. This one's waiving this, or this one's doing that, or offering that. Like, it's not always top dollar.
Absolutely. And the thing is that, that's the key ingredient you need in a buyer's agent, is someone who understands flexibility and somebody who knows how to creatively put together an offer based on what the seller needs. Yeah. But also, lining it up with the buyer's needs. Mm-hmm. So what is the buyer's level of comfortability with each of the offer, with the offer terms, And if the buyer can be flexible, and that's another key thing, you need to be flexible in this market. When you have low inventory, you have to come up with flexible options. So that was one. Another thing that you should look at is, and it sounds crazy, but homes that have been on the market for a long time that maybe are slightly above your price point.
Yeah. Well, I've recently started doing that.
Yes. Yeah. So there's a wealth of properties that have been sitting on the market because honestly, the market has turned. Yeah. We're at a point now where lots of people thought, this was a year ago where you put your price on, you throw it on the market and it sells. Mm-hmm. It's not like that. If you price correctly, you're going to get multiple offers. But if you're overpriced, you are not getting multiple offers. And in fact, your house is going to sit on the market. Yeah. And so as a buyer's agent, I look for those opportunities. And we actually had a couple of those opportunities come up this year where, you just wait for it. Or you get in, a skilled buyer's agent will know just the right time to write the offer when it looks like there's going to be a price break. Yeah. Like you see, it's been on the market for 30 days. Maybe I'll offer something. Yeah.
Yeah. I just recently started looking like a little bit above my price range because I did notice that there were things sitting on the market. There was one that my last offer that I put in, it was on the market for at the top of my budget. But it had been like, I thought that it was going to fly off the shelves, but it had been sitting for like a little bit. Yeah. So I was like, okay. They ended up getting 4 offers at the same time that I put in my offer because, other people thought the same thing. Right. But I was very much considered. So I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, absolutely. So I felt like a little bit closer to home. So maybe the next one.
The next one is make the offer before they do the price drop. Like anticipating when that is. Yeah. And honestly, your buyer's agent can help you do that. But keep an eye on stuff when it comes on the market and you think, oh, they're listing at, maybe your price range is $450 and they're listing at $550. And you keep an eye on it. So that's the kind of house I want, but they're too high and I know they're too high. So I'm going to wait for them to drop the price. And, I'm going to wait just this amount of time. So a good buyer's agent can help you through that process. Yeah. So another piece that people tend to walk away from is the home that needs a little bit of work. I know that you're not one of them. Yeah. But that is really where that's the gold right there. Yeah. So that was another one that happened this year. They actually didn't even need to get a renovation loan. However, it would benefit you to talk with your loan professional about getting some kind of a renovation loan just in case you need it. 203K, like something of that nature. The VA has a really good renovation loan product as well. So if you're a veteran, you wanted to do a VA loan, you can still do a renovation loan. Just have that at your hand, to have that at your fingertips. So when you're going forward with an offer, maybe it needs a new septic.
Yeah.
Maybe that's all it needs is a new septic. But people just run away as soon as they hear the word septic.
Yeah, I know.
But if you, maybe you take another look at it. It's a low inventory market. So you could probably make a lot of money on that property if you just, put the new septic in and then fix it up. You already have earned equity.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I definitely, that's something that as a buyer, I've been like, I don't want to deal with it. But then I'm like, oh, well, maybe I might have to.
Yeah. I mean, it's worth it sometimes.
Yeah.
So this year I sold one that, it needed a new septic, but the sellers are putting it in, and the house inside was dated. It was like, it just needed
cosmetic
paint, cosmetic. Even the cabinets weren't bad. Old appliances, the cabinets were pretty good. The layout was perfect. It was a nice 3-bedroom colonial with a 2-car garage, and in a little cul-de-sac neighborhood, but in a first-time buyer range pricing.
Yeah. And
because the people needed to find suitable housing, number one, and number two, the house was very dated inside with the furniture.
Yeah.
Nobody staged it. It was cluttered, and it needed maybe some updated cabinetry in the bathrooms, but you could still live there.
Yeah.
And if you're a lot of people walk into a house, and if it has a funny smell, they walk right out. They can't handle it. They automatically think it needs a ton of work.
Yeah.
But it's just a smell that you can get rid of that.
Yeah.
There's a lot you can do.
Oh, I know. I put in an offer of $50,000 over asking on something that definitely needed to be aired out.
Yes.
Didn't get that one either, but
I remember that house.
Yeah. Did you see it?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I definitely, and again, like, it's hard because I am sharing all my journey with everybody. But last year when I started, which Mary the other day was like, it's your 1-year anniversary of putting in your first offer. And I'm like, is that supposed to make me feel better?
I
know. Or what?
It's so hard.
But like a year ago, I was looking at a couple houses a week.
Yeah.
Now
there's nothing on the market.
I didn't see one house between the beginning of December until March.
Yeah.
I didn't see one house. And then March, there was a house that came on in Hanson. I put in an offer with 40 other people. And I was like,
yeah,
this is going to be a wild ride this year. And it has been crickets.
Yeah.
Like crickets. It's like, hello, can I see a house this week?
It is really crazy. Not a lot of stuff coming on. People are afraid to list, and we have to really get to the bottom of that. But we still have strategies.
Yeah, we do have strategies. If you want to ask a question to Sue or myself, make a comment, whatever, you can call into the studio 781-837-4900. We are ready to take your call.
Absolutely, would love to answer any questions.
All right, strategies.
All right, so
you got any?
Yeah,
because I need some.
So that I think the home renovation one is really important. Like a lot of people will walk into, like I said about the smells. Like I've had people say, "Oh yeah, I don't mind fixing up a house at all." I can do a couple of things, and then they go in and they smell it and they can't handle it. But that's a really big one, and so. Definitely look into the financing piece. Definitely look into, make sure you're pre-approved before you start going out looking at houses. Yeah. Because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, you really don't. I mean, it's definitely your first step, reach out to an agent because we have people that in our back pocket where we're like, okay, this is the person that you should use. These are 3 people that you should use. We have that. So it's almost like we're the hub. It's like we are the hub of the information. If you're watching us on Facebook, I have fists up. I'm not trying to fight Sue. I'm just like, give me your strategies. We're like the hub of the information. And we have all these people. So I'm like, I'm putting my fingers up. It's like, oh, here's 10 people in my back pocket.
Yeah.
Oh, we have a caller.
We do.
Oh,
yes. Teresa from Marshfield.
All right.
Hello, Teresa from Marshfield. How are you?
I'm good. Great. Love your show.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks for listening.
I have a house that I'm selling, and it has a couple of things you talked about that people could use their mortgage payments.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, one thing is it has a horse barn with 3 stalls, and, you could rent out the stalls instead of having like an in-law or tenants or something. You could have horses.
That's actually a really good point. First of all, you have to be an animal lover if you have a horse barn, of course, but we have a lot of people looking for that sort of setup, and if you can rent out the horse stalls, right?
Is your house currently on the market?
I just put it on the market this past weekend. I just had open house. And the other thing is my house needs some work. There's some deferred maintenance, so somebody could, do that and flip this house and make a lot of money.
Nice. Yeah. Well, we wish you the best of luck finding a buyer for your house.
Absolutely.
But yeah, definitely that is a sort of a great idea to rent out those stalls.
Yeah, absolutely. Another house hacking tip right there.
Another house hacking tip. Look at you, Teresa.
Renting out barn stalls. I like that. But yeah, it's a really good point. And I think also, looking at houses that need a little extra is key. And,
yeah, I think gone are the days of like everyone trying to find the HGTV house. Like they just don't exist.
Right,
like,
exactly.
It's, yeah.
And my house would also be perfect for like Airbnb.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yep. See, there you go. Another house hacking tip.
Another house hacking tip. You got them all.
You got them all.
Pool and big yard, and it's centrally located.
Nice.
In
Well,
Marshfield, so.
I'm going to do like a little plug. If any buyers out there want to look into these type of opportunities, give me a call and I'd be happy to show you. 508-317-5729, and I will find you Teresa's house in Marshfield, and we'll take a look at some.
Yeah.
A property.
We're hoping to bring a buyer to you.
Yeah. So that's a good plug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Teresa, for calling.
Thank you
for listening.
Thank you for the info. That's great. Thank you.
I think it'd be good for you.
Oh, for me. Oh, well, I do know how to ride a horse, so I might end up buying a couple, and I just have them in my stalls. Anyways, maybe I'll take a look at your house, Teresa.
Yeah, I'm looking for a horse trailer too. I'm told.
Come over anytime.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Teresa. Enjoy your night.
You too.
Yeah, I might be moving to Marshfield with my 3 horses.
There you go. It only needs a little bit of work.
Yeah,
so
only needs a little bit of work.
Yeah.
We only have about 10 minutes left, so I want to make sure that we get through some of these strategies, and so you have an opportunity at the end to give your contact information out to everybody again.
Yes. Well, I do want to mention also, in addition to looking a little bit over your budget, you should look at off-market and expired listings. Because a lot of people, over the years had, maybe a year ago they decided to sell and then changed their mind and it wasn't the right time, or maybe they listed it too high and it expired and they just haven't relisted yet. This is a great time to, as a buyer's agent, look into it. And
Sharon texted me something, but she must have been like, it auto-corrected everything, so I was like, huh? Question mark. And she said, you were talking about condos, and I was saying we have lots of them in Hanson. Yes, we have duplexes.
My gosh,
we have
yes,
40 duplexes in Hanson at Cushing Trails. Again, Sharon's going to be joining me on Saturday before her open house. She does open houses there. It's off of Spring Street in Hanson every Saturday and Sunday. 11 to 1, 10 to 12. I don't know, whichever one.
But you can call us and we will tell you, or email us and we'll let you know the time.
Yeah, we will.
But I'll tell you, those condos are absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, the vision was there and they are executing it. Those look great.
So if somebody is they were considering maybe a single family home in Hanson, but really weren't sure. These feel like single family homes. Yeah. And they're huge. I couldn't even believe it when I went in. The size of the living room.
I know.
It's like
I'm gonna go visit her again this weekend because I want to get some more content for social media. But they're huge.
Beautiful.
They're beautiful, and they're built by Stonebridge Homes, and Sharon and Boston Connect has worked with them for years. So, but more strategies because we only have a few minutes left.
Yes. So. that was the next one, was obviously the expired listings. So people really need to check in with their buyer's agent. Buyer's agents can do a search and look at the expired listings from over the last year. Maybe it was somebody who was like, you know what? I'm not getting the price I wanted, so I'll just take it off. Yeah. Well, take another look. Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
There are expired listings. I looked in Plymouth County last night, and there was like something like 240 something expired listings in Plymouth County.
Wow.
So
that's wild.
I know.
Why do you think that? Overpriced?
Overpriced, or maybe their marketing wasn't great. Who knows?
Yeah.
Sometimes people.
There was a while where I felt like frustrated as a buyer that like everything that was coming on was like, it almost felt like people were just trying to unload like properties that they hadn't been able to for so long, but like they were being swept up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just like,
yeah.
No, I'm not looking for a flip. I'm looking for something I can live in myself, so.
Right.
That was a good opportunity for them, but not for me.
Well, sometimes it is because it costs a lot of money to flip a property, right? And so if you're planning to live there, it's worthwhile to do that.
But how many times do you think that somebody has bought a house and they're like, I have all these big visions and big dreams of it, and then you go there 10 years later and you're like, it still looks like it did before.
Well, that does happen.
Yeah.
But if you get a renovation loan instead, then you're forced to do it because you have to have a plan in place. The renovation loan requires you to have a contractor ready, and then you have to get 3 quotes, and then you come in and then you start the work right away. I have a client that did that a few years back, and I mean, they've already sold the house.
Yeah.
Long story, they got a divorce, but that's a whole different story.
Long story, they got a divorce. But sounds like a short story.
But when they bought the house, it was a complete. It needed so much work, and it came out beautiful. So.
Well, maybe they were tired of each other after doing all of those things.
It was a lot of work. But
we're talking real over here.
No, they did the renovation loan, and they had to they did put like a new roof on. They had to finish it within 3 months of purchasing. Yeah. So that's the benefit of a renovation loan, right? Because it forces you to finish it within 3 months because they want to come back and, check that box.
Yeah.
So
5 minutes left. Final thoughts.
All right. So, and
what
then
do we got?
There's strategies in the offer part too. So people know, we still do escalation clauses. Some people are for, some people are against. Some agents don't allow it.
Yeah. One recently, didn't allow me. But at the time I was the only offer.
Right.
So there didn't make any sense for me to do an escalation clause. But then once they started getting more, I was like, were you just using my offer to get other offers?
Right.
Which they were, but that's okay.
Well, sometimes that does happen, but I did have one this year where we put the escalation clause in and, they weren't able to.
Yeah. Well, the offer that I did get accepted last year, they only had one other offer, which I was like, what? Really great price point. And I did an escalation clause and I didn't need to use it.
Yeah.
So my offer price-wise was better because, obviously I didn't have to go above. I did end up walking away because it needed like $30,000 worth of work like immediately because the whole thing was rotted, but that's okay. I was
that happens too.
I think I'm going to walk away from this, which I am very grateful now.
Yeah.
As much as I do want to be in a house, I am grateful that I had people in my corner being like, I don't think that this is a good thing for you.
Absolutely.
But okay. Well, another strategy.
Yeah. So anyways, the escalation clause that happened for me this year was similar. They didn't end up having to use it, so
nice.
And it was a first-time FHA buyer.
Wow,
which is nice because they know they didn't overpay for it.
Yeah,
and
so you weren't really concerned with the appraisal.
No.
Nope,
I really wasn't. I knew because it was a house that needed a little bit of work, so I thought it's the comps are going to come in a lot higher because they're a little bit more ready to move in, and this one wasn't, and they were willing to do the work, so it worked out really well.
Yeah.
Nice. So there's always that. Then we talked about the other strategy really is being flexible about allowing the sellers time to stay in the property.
Yeah.
That's really
because that could be really important to the seller. I mean,
Yeah.
especially if they are trying to find something.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So.
And there's not as
but
many.
I promise you, there's buyers out there that will give you the time. I'm one of them.
And the other thing too is there's not a lot of, like a year ago it was like 30 offers. Now I feel like it's like 1 or 2 offers.
Yeah, the last offer situation I was in, there was 4 total.
Yeah.
The one right before that, so maybe like 2 weeks before that, I was one of 16. And then the one before that, I was one of 32.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No,
So
13. Sorry, 13, and then the one before that was 32. So
yeah, see, it's dwindling. So it's dwindling.
Well, you know what? The most I've offered on a house was the last one that I just did, and I was one of 4.
Yeah.
So
that shows you.
it shows you that, like, again, that house was at the top of my price point. So
Yeah.
I don't know what that shows you, but it shows you something.
Yeah.
I want to give you an opportunity to give your contact information out. How can people get in touch with you if they want to hire you as their buyer's agent?
Okay, so if any of this interests you, give me a call at 508-317-5729.
Give that one more time.
508-317-5729. Mm-hmm. And you can email me, S as in Susan, Bollinger at bostonconnect.com.
Mm-hmm.
And
you can go to bostonconnect.com, find all of our information.
Yes.
You can come to our home here at 19 Mattakesett Street
Which
in
I love.
Pembroke, which we love. Come hang out. We're doing a Halloween dog trot.
Yes.
You're doing it too, right?
I am.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. We've been meeting about this. Saturday, October 28th from 12 to 2. Go on Facebook and on Instagram. And if you have a dog or just want to come and hang out that day, there is a waiver to sign. So be sure to
Yes.
sign the waiver. Sign up for our dog trot and costume. We have so many amazing prizes.
absolutely, you should call me about that. We had so much fun last year.
We did. So we're doing it again. We're doing it until the end of time. But thank you so much, Sue, for joining me.
Thank you for
I love
having me on.
having you here. And you have to come back again.
I would love to.
Yeah, I think you are coming back
I
in
am coming
November.
back. Yes,
okay,
I am.
perfect. Well, again, BostonConnect.com. Go to TalkRealEstateRoundtable.com to listen to all of our past shows.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you so
Bye.
much for listening.